It's 4 in the morning, the Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide, and through this narrow strip of water, 20% of the world's oil passes every single day. On the surface, nothing. Just black water, stars, and silence. A U.S. Navy destroyer is cutting through the dark at full speed, radar clean, crew alert. Everything looks exactly right. That is the most dangerous moment of all, because somewhere in that darkness, the trap is already set, and the destroyer has exactly 11 minutes before it walks straight into it. Hours before this moment, 3 Iranian F-14 Tomcats took off in total silence. 2 Kilo-class submarines, the kind NATO calls black holes because they're nearly impossible to detect, slipped beneath the destroyer's patrol route and went completely cold. Engines off, waiting. And on Channel 16, the one frequency that every single vessel on Earth is legally required to monitor, a recording was loaded and ready to play. A fake distress call, a woman's voice, panicked, breaking up, Mayday, Mayday, fishing vessel under attack, crew in the water. The coordinates in that distress call did not lead to a rescue site. They led to a killbox, pre-surveyed, pre-plotted, chosen specifically so that any ship responding would arrive with its bow pointed away from the Iranian coastline, and its sides fully exposed to 3 separate attack angles at once. Every detail of the next 26 minutes had already been planned. The destroyer was the only party that didn't know the script. 4:28 a.m. The radio breaks open. Mayday, Mayday, broken, panicked, desperate. It takes 4 seconds for the decision to be made. Maritime law, naval doctrine, and basic human instinct all point in the same direction. You go, you always go. No hesitation, no verification, no delay. Engines to full speed, hard turn, course locked in for the distress coordinates. 14 minutes out. The fishing vessel does not exist. The distress call is a recording being broadcast on a loop from an unmanned drone, already sinking itself to the bottom. The destroyer is sailing directly into the kill zone. 4:39 a.m. Something appears on radar. Fast, irregular, gone before a solution can even be built. Then the electronic warfare suite picks up something far worse. A 4-second pulse from a fire control radar. Not a search radar, a targeting radar. Something out there just took a quiet look at the destroyer and decided not to commit yet. The pulse disappears, but the shape of it, the frequency, the direction, that signature belongs to only one aircraft in the world, the AWG-71 radar, the radar that lives in the nose of an F-14 Tomcat. 4 seconds later, 3 of them light up simultaneously. 4:43 a.m. 3 high-speed contacts appear from 3 separate directions, north, northwest, west, as if they had been sitting perfectly still below detection altitude and chose this exact second to move. Mach 1.5, closing fast, from all angles. The electronic warfare suite stops giving warnings and starts screaming. And then, the tones. 3 missile lock tones, simultaneous, stacking over each other in every headset on the ship. 3 aircraft, 3 lock-ons, missiles already in the air, chaff launches, hard turn. The close-in weapon system comes online, the last line of defense when everything else has failed. It kills the first missile at 2 miles, kills the second at under a mile, tracks the third, clean solution, barrel aligned, and then the ship's evasive turn shifts the geometry by 4 degrees. The missile threads the gap. The explosion rewrites the physical reality of every compartment on the ship in 1/15 of a second. 3 personnel killed instantly, 11 wounded, the ship on fire, systems failing, and the fight has barely started. 4:48 a.m. This is where the ambush reveals its second layer, the one designed specifically to exploit the chaos of the first. While every sensor on the burning destroyer is focused upward, toward the aircraft, 2 Kilo-class submarines rise off the bottom and fire. The torpedo warning doesn't arrive gradually. It arrives as an emergency. 2 high-speed torpedoes, already inside 6,000 yards, closing at 45 knots. At that speed, 6,000 yards is under 4 minutes. With a damaged ship, fires in the aft section, and aircraft potentially still a threat above, 4 minutes is nothing. 1 torpedo chases a decoy and loses the track. The second one does not. Clean lock, straight track, no defensive answer left. Impact in 3, impact in 2, impact in. The explosion arrives 800 feet above the surface. 2 AM-120 missiles detonate in under 1 second. 2 F-14s simply vanish from radar. No debris arc, no secondary explosion, just 2 contacts, becoming nothing. At the same instant, a massive electronic warfare burst blinds every sensor in the engagement area simultaneously. The torpedo's guidance link severs. Its seeker, suddenly unable to distinguish the ship from noise, skews off course, runs 4 seconds on its last heading, and passes ahead of the bow. The third F-14, both wingmen gone in under 2 seconds, breaks for Iranian airspace at full afterburner and does not look back. Two F-35 Joint Strike Fighters, running in total silence since before the Mayday call was even broadcast, had been holding at altitude above the ambush site for the entire engagement. They were not scrambled in response. They were already there, placed there by an intelligence read that identified the geometry of the trap before it was triggered, and made the cold, deliberate decision to let it fully develop, let every Iranian asset fully commit and fully expose itself, and then collapse the entire operation at the moment of maximum effect. 5:47 a.m. 6 Tomahawk cruise missiles leave the forward launch cells. The targeting data had been compiled by the F-35s during the engagement itself. Sensor tracks backtraced along the F-14's flight paths all the way back to their origin point, a coastal airbase on the Iranian shoreline, partially underground, partially camouflaged. The kind of facility that exists only on very short, very classified lists. The Tomahawks fly low for 41 minutes. At 6:28 a.m., the runway is destroyed. The hardened shelters collapse. The fuel depot generates a secondary explosion that burns for 6 hours and shows up on commercial satellite imagery by the time the sun is fully up. The base that launched the ambush no longer exists as a military asset, but this didn't happen in a vacuum. For months, the pressure had been building. Tanker seizures, drone intercepts, proxy strikes, back-channel warnings delivered and ignored. The ambush was not an improvisation. It was the culmination of a pressure campaign designed to find exactly one thing: how far could American tolerance be pushed before it broke? Now they had the answer. Within hours, a second U.S. carrier strike group, already repositioned to the North Arabian Sea 48 hours earlier, received updated orders. Combat air patrols over the strait doubled. Every Iranian naval vessel in the Persian Gulf was now being tracked continuously. The rules of engagement quietly expanded. In Tehran, the question being asked was whether the American response signaled a desire to escalate or a desire to close the account and move on. The Tomahawk strike was precise, limited. It hit exactly what launched the attack and nothing else. That restraint was either a ceiling or a floor. And the difference between those two interpretations was everything. Meanwhile, global oil markets opened to the news and immediately priced in the worst case. Crude spiked. Shipping insurance rates doubled overnight. 3 major tanker operators rerouted their vessels around the Cape of Good Hope, adding 2 weeks to delivery times and hundreds of thousands of dollars per voyage. The economic impact of one 2-hour engagement in the dark was felt within hours on trading floors 10,000 miles away. The Strait of Hormuz was quiet again by 6:30 a.m. But this was not a rescue mission. It was a test to find out whether the machinery of American military power, when ambushed, damaged, and pushed to its absolute limit, would hold or break. Now both sides have the data, and in a room somewhere with no windows and no record of the conversation, someone is already building the next version of the trap, adjusting for what worked, correcting for what didn't, recalibrating for the margins that made the difference. The strait is quiet, but quiet here has never meant safe. It has only ever meant, not yet.